Hello, my name is Wildstag, and thank you for tuning in to another book rant. Today, I'm going to be discussing this book, The Dead Cattail Assassins. This I picked up, I want to say, at a Barnes and Noble, which is very rare for me. I only exceedingly rarely go to a bookstore that does not primarily have used books. Only times I can think of in living, only times I can think of that I've done so in recent memory was the time I picked up this book, which I also picked up another book, a nonfiction one about deer. I want to say The Age of Deer is the name of that one. So I picked up this and The Age of Deer at the time, and then previously, before the time I purchased this, I think one of my first dates back in 2023. So now, that being said, Barnes& and Noble is one of those places I would go to on a first date rather than a used bookstore just because of the atmosphere and the openness, and the usually used bookstores are a bit more crammed, so it's harder to walk around and compare and that kind of thing. So I bought this not on a first date, but on one of these trips. I think I was in El Paso for like a doctor's appointment and just went to Barnes and Noble while I was already in the neighborhood. This book is copyright 2024, first edition. The jacket art is by Martina Fakova. Jacket design by Christine Fultzer. As far as the praise on the jacket goes, the only author whom I recognize is Rebecca Rowanhorse, the author of Black Sun, which yeah, it's right behind me. You can actually see it next to my shoulder. And I've also read a couple others of her books, including, and I want to say it's right up here as well, Trail of Lightning, and there was something with locusts in the other one. So, that being said, I do have experience with her and with her work, and, if she's saying it's good, then I'll check it out as well. This one is a really strange book, but a really fun one as well. It's only about 213 pages, but in those 213 pages, there's a lot of shenanigans that happen. The core premise is that the dead cattail assassins are not cats, nor do they have tails, but they are assassins, and they are dead. And in the setting, there are various gods and goddesses, and one of these goddesses can be pledged to in exchange for, a boon in life. And the main character doesn't know what that boon was, because when you are brought back from the dead, your memories of your past life are forgotten. So, the main character, this assassin, is Aveen the Eviscerator. And every time her title, The Eviscerator, comes up, she says it was only one time. Well, that one time, as you learn through the narrative, was a really important event in the city's story. And so she has only been an assassin for like a handful of years. I think 7 years, something like that. But in the time that she has been an assassin, she has been really dang good at it. But again, she doesn't know what her living self had done that put her in the service of this goddess. And the goddess, well, as an interesting and kind of funny facet about this setting is also that the undead lobbied for rights within the city, and the reason they had enough power to do so is because the goddess that sponsors these assassins also sponsors, because she is the goddess of knives, she is also a goddess of chefs and cooks, because assassins use knives, but so do cooks. And when a significant enough portion of the noble folks' cooks are undead, those undead can effectively bargain for better rights. Specifically, they went on strike or something. They collectively bargained for more rights within this city. So, as an assassin, it's okay that she is also undead because no one's really going to give it a second thought in that way. So, the opening is that the Evine is talking to a handler in a way, and he hands her a card that says the dead cattail assassins are not cats, nor do they have tails, but they are most assuredly dead. And he says, well, you can use this as a calling card. You leave it on the body of someone you kill, and maybe their survivors may reach out to your guild for work in the future. And that's all well and good, but there's a lot of rules in this system, but three rules are more important than anything else. First order is that the contract must be just, but Evine doesn't handle that. That's the guild leadership that handles the determination of that. Secondly, even the most powerful assassin may only kill the contracted. So there's no collateral damage. At best, you can hurt people, but you can't kill them. And lastly, once you accept a job, you must carry it out. And if you stray from that, there are fates worse than death. So, in this case, Evine is tasked with a job by this handler that is talking about these business cards as well, these calling cards. And so he gives her an assignment, and then so that they can use certain kinds of tracking magic, like a divination magic, they also are given a token by which they can track the mark. And Evine gets there, and what she realizes is that the face of the person she is hired to kill is her own, but not quite. It's her own, but 20 years younger, like a teenaged version of her face. And that's strange. And that kicks up some memories from her past life that she's not supposed to have. And she has those memories and she hesitates, which kicks the entire plot into motion because, like the rule says, once you start a mission, it must be completed. And Evine uses what time she has and resources she has to try and extend the length of time before she has to kill what appears to be herself. And there's some discrepancies noticed very quickly, like certain bridges aren't in the right place, or the arch leader of the city, the person in charge of the council, it's a different person. And the handler is looking through the books thinking, when was the last time we had someone with that name? And it was like 40, 50 years before present day. And on top of that, the coin that was used to track her is a festival coin. And the setting is that there's this big festival going on where everyone dresses up as characters from the founding myth of this city. So she has one of these festival coins, but not only is it the wrong person on the face, it's also the wrong design on it. And so the best bet they can think of is that this is a version of Evine pulled through time, and she is being tasked with killing herself. And the question is, how do you kill a temporally displaced self? I think it's a bit bizarre to have those kinds of quandaries in a world where time travel isn't a thing or isn't a thing in fiction, but they have thoughts about it very quickly. Like, if I kill myself and then its body gets sent back in time, am I going to cease to exist? And that's partly why Evine is holding off on killing the mark, because she's afraid that if she kills her past self, she'll never exist. And there's some legal stuff there. The goddess that she serves may not like if this job kills one of her servants. So there's a lot of back and forth in that way. There's a lot of fighting as well because the other members of the guild are tasked with killing Evine, or fate worse than deathing Evine, because she is breaking one of the highest laws. So it's creative. It is an interesting. It's got some sci-fi elements to it, and I say that mostly because time travel, regardless of whether it's magic or not, tends to be associated with like science fantasy rather than medieval fantasy. And that's a bit strange because I know games, one of my favorite DS games at the very least, is Fire Emblem Awakening, which very specifically does involve time travel, but that one kind of is more of a move to a new timeline as opposed to rewrite events within this own timeline. So it's kind of science fantasy adjacent because it's got that time travel element, but it is still very specifically medieval fantasy. It's a fun book. It's a page turner. I think I started reading it, put it down, and then I finally just gave myself enough time during the furlough of 2025 that let me just read this. And once I started reading it, it just clicked. And what really cemented it in my mind is that the last, I want to say 20, maybe 30 pages, which again, this is only about 213 pages long. Yeah, so like the last 30 pages is a very unique idea because usually when an accent is being written into the English language such that the wider mainstream English reading audience can understand it, there's like an apostrophe here or there, or maybe like you can instead of is used, but it's not, it is still usually something that the average reader can understand. I say usually because this is one of those exceptions where the accent being written is very difficult to read if you're not speaking it out loud. And even if you are speaking it out loud, you kind of have to think about a sentence to figure out what it means in context. The accent involved is that one of the characters in the climax, speaks in patois, which is like the Jamaican accent, and uses Jamaican lingo, and like it is in patois, in style, in idiom, in spelling. And so 30 pages, the finale is using this character that speaks in patois, and I had to read it twice, partially because the finale was just so fun to read. Everything, the comeuppances, the closure, everything is really well done. But also I had to read it again because I wanted to make sure I understood what I was reading word for word. And I did have to look up on Google some of the statements clarifying what I actually was reading. So The Dead Cattail Assassins was really fun. It's short, it's quick, it's a page turner. It's just imaginative and creative. I don't think I've ever read a book that uses time travel in such a unique way, nor have I read a like urban medieval fantasy that's quite like this. It feels like it fits on the same shelves as Brust's work about the Vlad Toltos series, where this is medieval fantasy, but it's noir. It's like a investigation. It's almost just very specifically medieval, but also very specifically a crime story. And it's maybe crime story adjacent. It uses a lot of the stylings of that kind of genre without specifically being about an investigation into a criminal act. But overall, I talked about it recently with The Lies of the Ajungo. I really like these short novels. Anything about 150 to 250 pages, I eat that stuff up. And it's a nice reprieve from other kinds of content. So I really like this. I bought it this year, April 2025, but and it came out in 2024, but this was definitely worth it. I'm keeping this on my shelves. I'm not putting it into the used book system anytime soon. It was just that enjoyable. I'm recommending this to friends that may enjoy that kind of thing. I think if you find it on the shelves, I paid about $21 for this, and it was well worth $21. So, yeah, my name is Wild Stag, and thank you for tuning in to another book rant.